Visible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Burt. Present. Trustee Fabdal.
Present.
Treasurer Anderson.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Clerk Triplett here. Trustee Klee.
Present.
And Trustee Campbell.
She, let me know if she's out of town. Oh, what's going on here? So we move on to any additions or deletions, any corrections to the minutes of the last meeting?
There's a correction to the meeting from the last minutes due to when we came back from closed session in regards to making.
Time? Was it the time? or
No,
was
the
it-
motion wasn't
It's the
on there. I
motion.
think it needs to be added.
Oh, that's right. Here, go behind it.
Okay.
Don't mind us. Thank you. There we go.
So,
In the motion to nullify the last action that we took in regards to hiring a full-time.
that needs to be added, and you have the vote, right? I don't remember what the vote was, but you should have it in the minutes. We can either add that to the minutes and approve them now as corrected, or have Clerk Triplett bring them back at the next meeting. What do we want to do?
We know we brought it up. It'd
Okay.
probably
Yeah,
be
we
easier
know we
just to
passed.
clarify,
We can go back to the
type them
video
and
to make
get them
sure.
squared
Yeah.
away.
So, all those of approving the minutes from the regular meeting, October 17th, with the correction of the last motion and action item, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? So those will stand adopted. We move on to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address, and you will be given 4 minutes to address the board.
Good morning. I'm so sorry. I worked all day. Good afternoon. I had a long day. My name is Miss Atkinson. I live at 5117 Shady Oak Trail, and I've been in the Flint Township for way over 20-something years now. But I have a great concern about houses in my subdivision and neighborhood. Then again, at Flint Township in general, I see too many houses that are having junk in the yard. I did call the township, and I want to thank that I did get some results that they went out to the house on my neighborhood, 5052 Shady Oak Trail and 5051 Shady Oak Trail. There's a gentleman there, he started having a lot of junk in the front of his yard, so then he moved it to the back. But just in general, even on Linden Road, there's a house across the street from Carmen Ainsworth High School. That house is just impossibly cluttered, and I'm just seeing a major change in the township, and it's not being kept up like it used to be. And so with a lot of the changes and people not keeping up their property, I'm kind of very much concerned about the whole township property's value, not just my neighborhood on Shady Oak Trail, but our whole township as a whole. So, just want to be, just to let you know that when I do call, I appreciate the call, but something really has to be done to get the township code up like it used to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you state your last name one more time? for me?
Atkinson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Anyone else like to address the board?
Good afternoon. My name is Radonna Banks, and I currently work for the township in the elections office. If you might indulge me for a moment. In January, I came to this township to assess the state of the elections division. In March 2022, I came on as a full-time employee. Hitting the ground running, there was an election coming up for Carmen Ainsworth, and immediately I was thrown in. Now, I was under the impression that there was going to be another full-time employee along with myself. But as time went on, I realized that I was on my own to do this election. Time went on, I got it done. It was evident that I had to work over, that I had to work through lunches, that I had to miss breaks because I was the only person that could issue a ballot. I was the only person that could receive a ballot. This board knew the working environment that I was in. Time and time again, Clerk Triplett tried to get me assistance, and it never happened. During board meetings, it was said that there wasn't enough work for the elections division. Well, I beg your pardon. When I came to this township, there was over 2,000 items in the inbox from the state. Every time a person goes to the state of Michigan to change an address or anything, it generates work in that office. Now, previous elections, there were 2 people in that office. But when I came, it's just been myself. I got past the first election, but then August came, and I realized early that it was going to be a big election. I went to Clerk Triplet. Again, she came to this board, no results. I was forced to work through lunch. I was forced to work through break. I would come in on Saturdays. I would come in on Sundays after church to do this election for this township. When I came to this township, people called me a crook. They told me they thought that I was going to throw away their ballot. I had a ballot torn up in my face, but I took it. I wanted to bring integrity to this township and to that elections office by myself. I worked 18 hours that election day. No break, no lunch. I ate at my desk. I got it done. I can't tell the county or the state I'm just by myself. I have to get it done. But we're going to fast forward to the November election. November the 9th, Jocelyn Business said this was historical in terms of the numbers that turned out for this election. Keep in mind, one person. I was so frustrated. On October the 11th, I sent an email to Clerk Triplet and I told her I can't do it. I can't. I can only work 8 hours and I got to take my lunch. It lasted 1 week. After a week, I said, well, I'm going to get my lunch, but I got to stay. I have no other choice. In the August election, a temporary worker came in and worked 1 day with me, and a grievance was filed. So she could no longer work to help me. So I'm on my own. This township board, township supervisor knew about that grievance, but yet I was left over there. Now, I wonder if each one of you name was on that ballot, would you have left me alone? I think not, but we'll move on. November the 3rd, it all fell apart. I was on my lunch. There was people in the lobby angry. Supervisor was upset. Clerk Triplet, Deputy Clerk Tucker came and they tried to calm the people that was waiting. It was full. By the end of that day, allegations were made against me by the township supervisor that I will not discuss today because it's not for today and it's not for this venue. I do not appreciate it. I have done my very best over there. So that Saturday, right after this happened, I worked the mandated 8 hours. I came in on Monday, I worked 12 hours. I got off at 8. At 5:30 a.m., I was back here. It was election day. My shift ended on Wednesday at 8:45. 27 hours I worked. No lunch, no dinner. By 2:30 in the morning, my right leg was numb. I was dehydrated because I sat there, ballot after ballot. I couldn't keep up. I want to thank Kevin McIntyre for on November the 7th, he had mercy and grace and shut down his department to help me out. For that, I thank you. Now, during this election, not only did this board fail me, they failed voters because 137 mail-in voter registrations never got done. Those people never was registered to vote. From August the 30th through November the 4th, 417 online AV applications I did. I sent out over 6,000 AV ballots. I received 4,000 ballots. There was 2,000 things in the inbox. I have over 2,000 ID cards that never got sent. Our phones was blowing up because people didn't know where to vote. That is the definition of disenfranchisement, is when you are not giving the voters the tools.
Your time is up.
If you don't mind, can I have just one more minute?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to end by saying that this board failed me. Undue labor practices, and I want to say my mother is here. As a child, my grandmother told me how she never, most of her adult life, didn't get a chance to vote. When my mother was 29, my grandmother had the opportunity to vote. When I had the opportunity to get in the election process, that was my dream. But I never, ever thought that I would be treated this way in America, in Flint Township. I don't understand. Now, there are some board members, and you know who you are, who acknowledged in October my struggle. And to you, I thank you. You know who you are. To Deputy Tucker, to Clerk Triplett, I can't thank you enough because you tried to help me, but your hands were tied as well as mine.
Your time is up now.
Thank you for your indulgence. Have a good night.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Ernest Williams. I live at 5103 Forest Side Drive, and I've been there for about 25 years. And I was very happy about my community, but now I'm highly concerned with what's going on in our community. You got cars in the backyard, trash everywhere. I'm concerned about our property, and then I called the township like, we'll send a letter, but meantime, the cars still packing up in the backyard, trash everywhere. I'm concerned about our community. We're getting to look like north end of Flint. What's going on? You know, I mean, where are you at? I mean, you should be helping the community with the cleanup around here, making sure these people are doing what they're supposed to do. In the meantime, we're saying we're too busy, we don't have the people, we'll send a letter, but in the meantime, I'm dealing with all this trash and cars, and my property value is going down, and I'm concerned. First time I've ever been to this meeting. I got a letter today about this meeting, and I'm glad I did. I'm very concerned, and I wish that you could do something to help us. We don't need talk. We need somebody in the community going out and looking at and helping these people clean up their property. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
My name is Brian Hughes. I live at 1137 South Dye Road. And I'm not here to complain today. I'm here to give thanks for the people that put on that Heroes Plaza dedication ceremony. That was a good ceremony that was put together. And I was lucky enough to be able to purchase a couple bricks, one for my father-in-law that was World War II veteran, and myself and my family, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you hard.
I got my timer going. Tell me when you're ready.
My name is Gerald Roberts. Lived in this township for over 50 years. Paid taxes. A friend of mine, I want to comment on this last election. In that particular election, a friend of mine said on Tuesday night when he went to bed, he was living in the state of Michigan. When he woke up, he was in the state of California. I want to talk about Proposal 3. I'm a right-to-life person. I'm a veteran. I'm a born-again Christian. And also, I'm a conservative. There's 3 of our people that are local politicians. They It got on television, and it's my estimation, if they actually, by their actions, going in favor of proposition, a vote yes on proposition number 3, if they sold their soul to the devil. In our church, there was a correlation between a judge being in and giving a sentence to a person, in other words, that's committed, in other words, to death. In that sentence at the last, he says, "And may God have mercy upon your soul." Our prosecuting attorney, our sheriff, and our representative from this particular area all were in favor of that, and they all voted, not voted, I'm saying we're all in favor of that, and they solicited people to vote yes on that particular proposal. Planned Parenthood is set up. 76% of those Planned Parenthood places are in black communities. People know it. It went back to the point where they wanted to eliminate the black population. That is wrong. The abortion issue on this particular proposal, up to 1 minute prior to a fetus being born, a needle can be put in their head and their brain sucked out. That is murder, in my estimation. May God have mercy upon those people's souls and that have sold their soul to the devil. There is going to be a judgment day, and they're going to be held accountable. The Bible talks about if they hurt one of these little ones, it would be better that a person would have a rope around their neck and a millstone tied around them and thrown to the bottom of the sea. Judgment day is coming. I'm going to leave it at that.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Gene Leverett, Senior. I'm here to not complain, but to add to the previous speakers that talked about the beautification of Flint Township. I agree. And I used to be the Beautification Association Vice President, and I became president after Miss Roxy Price died from Flint. And I think we really did a real good job at that time because we had a lot of different groups that were under that, and we started the block clubs associations. And out of those block club associations, they all came together and they improved a whole lot of Flint. And I know a lot of you, you understand what I'm saying, say these here things about Flint, but I come from Flint and I know firsthand and first class of what's happening in Flint. Now, we done had 2 or 3 different administrations to get in there, and they've done a little bit of this and a little bit of that and all this here, but everybody tried to tie it to the water crisis. But my thought is, I mean, do we ever recover? And when we talk about being born again Christians and all that, I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. And what we have to recognize is there is a scripture that says that we need to be helpers one to another. And that was my motivation for doing all of the things that we've done in the name change effort, okay? But what I'm looking at, with this here cleanup effort, I thought that we were kind of coming up to do, the neighborhoods was kind of coming up to do pretty good. And I thought in mind that maybe we need to have a competition between the different streets or different areas. But I'm really disappointed in a lot of the things that I've been seeing from the businesses as well, because I was going over to the different businesses and these trash cans and stuff out there, Dollar General and all these different places around here, the trash cans was overflowing and paper blowing up and down the street and all this kind of thing. And they telling me that they weren't responsible for this, you know, the different businesses. So I'm looking at a joint effort for all of us. I appreciate what Supervisor
Miller.
Supervisor Miller, she made the comment, or she made the statement about what we supposed to be doing about those grass clippings and all that kind of thing. I've been an advocate for a long time about that. That's a start. It looked like some people kind of acknowledged that and was doing a few things about it. But nevertheless, before I close, I'm going to say this right here. I appreciate the job that you guys have been doing, because I think that you all have a collaboration on what things are happening around here, and you've done what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And I appreciate you. Keep up the good work, and let's pay attention, Ms. Vert. Let's pay attention to all of those. Ms. Vert comes to all our meetings, so let's make sure we
Thank you, Mr. Leverett.
get together and
Thank
do what
you.
we need to do.
Does anyone else want to address the board? So we'll close public comment, and I had a few things I wanted to say during my report. The first thing is that we did have our Veterans Memorial Ceremony where we dedicated the Heroes Plaza. It honors our veterans who served in war and peace. It honors our police officers, and it honors our, had to look over at police chief with that stuff on his face. And it honors our firefighters. Our ceremony was the day before Veterans Day. We didn't have it on Veterans Day because there's municipalities who have an annual Veterans Day ceremony honoring our vets, and I didn't want our ceremony to conflict with theirs. Ours was on Thursday, November 10th. And it was at 3 o'clock at our police department. I thank everybody who was involved with that. And it lasted, I think, a whole 12 minutes. It was not long. We kept it very brief, which is a change. And it was a beautiful sunny day. We had a handful of people. It was nice to have them out there. I wanted to thank some people for making that happen. When the Veterans Memorial Heroes Plaza, the vision for that started, it was back in 2006, Tracy? Seven. And there was an original committee, and I know that you were on that committee, and I think Roger Powell was on that committee, and I don't know, I wasn't there, I don't know who else was on that committee, but they got the vision rolling, and there were plans in place for the Veterans Memorial over at the police department grounds. We weren't sure where that was gonna be. It ended up being in front of the flagpoles. It also ended up, I mean, it's been a long time. There was a lot of effort, a lot of plans, a lot of your hard work put into getting us to where we're at now. Kind of got put on hold for a while, and then there was another committee that was formed. And I think Trustee Vert, Trustee Pfaff-Dahl, Trustee Klee, and Tracy was a part of that. And the police chief, the fire chief helped out. I wanted to thank the people who were part of that committee for the work that they did. The first committee started it, the second committee got finished. During the ceremony, our police chief, our fire chief were a part of the ceremony. We had the Genesee Career Institute, ROTC, post the colors. They did a wonderful job. We had the Carmen Ainsworth, members of the marching band, the high school marching band under the direction of Benji Jones. Did I get it right? They played our national anthem with instruments. It was beautiful. Our fire chief and Sergeant Major David Arcio, who's a resident of our township, they laid the wreath, and we got to honor all those who were in attendance who had served, and it was a short and sweet, honorable memorial service. So to all our veterans, to all of our firefighters, to all of our police officers, for the work that you do, for you lay down your life. And that's something I quoted in the little brief thing that I said, that when I consider what it means to be a hero, I call to mind the words of our Lord, who I think said it best: greater love has no one than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And so we say thank you for your service. That was a really nice ceremony. Thank you for mentioning that. The second thing I want to talk about is blight. And if you have eyes, you can see it in the township. It's gotten worse, I think, since COVID. And I don't know how we address people who don't want fast food trash in their car. They roll their window down and they throw it out the window. I don't know how to control that. When I used to be able to walk, I used to walk down Calkins Road. My husband and I would take a trash bag with us, and we would pick up trash, and half the trash was empty alcohol bottles. So they don't want those in the car when they get home. They roll down their window and they throw it out. The problems with blight that I see, it was brought to our attention in May, June. Almost 50%, it's 45% according to statistics. 45% of all of our housing, residential housing, are rentals now. That's not what it used to be 10 years ago. We are working on that. We have an ordinance that we inspect our rentals. Our board hasn't seen eye to eye on how to get that done. We identify the problem and we're working on it. I know Mr. Williams didn't want to hear that we're working on it, but we are working on it. We recognize the problem. There's blight, and I think it has a lot to do. I'm not saying that all blight is due to rentals. There are people who own a home and refuse to take care of it. And our process is, when we identify it, either by we inspect, driving around, or complaints are called in. Usually you get tired of your neighbor not taking care of their property. We'll go out and check it out, and if we see someone, we'll talk to them. If not, we send a notice of violation. They get 10 days to fix the problem. If not, they get a ticket. They'll get a phone call, or they call us once they receive the notice, and we let them know you got to get this taken care of, or they'll get a ticket. When they get a ticket, they got 10 days to take care of it. Not grass, though. Grass, they get one notice, and if they don't get it done in 10 days, we're cutting their grass. We'll do it the rest of the summer without any other warning. But blight, if they don't take care of it after they've gotten a ticket, we take them to court. The court gives them 10, 20 days to take care. I mean, it's a long process. So we're working on it. We're trying to address it. It's overwhelming when we have over 30,000 residents. I know that there's 9,800 homes, and we have 2 part-time code enforcers right now working on issues. So we're working on it. The last thing I want to say is I heard what our employee said about being overworked, and to be accused of something, and I don't know what I was accused of, in a public meeting, I think is unfair and improper. We have a process for grievances to be resolved, and that process hasn't been followed. I'm not sure what she's talking about, because I didn't speak to her during the election process. She was very busy. I said hi, bye, that was about it. If she would like to come to talk to me, because I think that's the appropriate thing to do, she's more than welcome to come talk to me. We're in the process, we have a grievance hearing coming up next week where that issue, the grievance, will be handled. But I think that's unfair to make an accusation in a public meeting, and I don't know what she's talking about. So we'll take care of that and we'll deal with that. But the issue of this board not wanting to help in the clerk's office, before you came, Manya, as clerk, the last clerk requested a second full-time person. She wasn't budgeted a second full-time person, which means that person's in the union, they're a part of the AFSCME union, and they receive benefits. But the clerk before you had 1 full-time person in the AFSCME unit and 1 full-time temporary person. So there were 2 full-time people in there. This last election cycle, and I couldn't tell you the exact date, but when the March election occurred, there was a part-time temporary person in there, and they were made full-time, I think, sometime in the summer, in time for the second election, which was in August. So there were two full-time people in there. One was in the clerical union and one was not. When it came time for the third election in November, there were three full-time people in there, two temporary, one full-time permanent. So I hear what I identify and I understand what she's saying. There was one person to issue ballots. My question is, why was only one person issuing ballots? How many people were certified through the state qualified voter process? You had a certification. The deputy clerk
Is that a
had.
question you're addressing me now?
No, I'm asking, the deputy clerk had a certification, and we didn't get another person certified till Friday before the election. I'm just questioning, why was there only one, I am asking a question now, why was there only one person issuing ballots for the November election?
Excuse me, Madam Chair and Madam Clerk, before you answer that, can we just ask that you said it was an appropriate time to have this conversation, if we could just move on with our board meeting and we can address this
Because
at
you
a
saw
meeting
me all
tomorrow.
week and we could have had this
So
conversation.
if we could please move on.
So, that's my report this evening. Madam Clerk, do you have a report?
I'd like to start off thanking everyone that did help in the election. Thank you, Chief Salter, for sending over your officers. Thank you, Kevin, for allowing the clerical to help in the clerk's department with the election. We all put together, we did get a pat on the back from Jocelyn Benson for a good job for our election as well that we did. See Megan back there. I'd like to thank Megan as well. Terry, we kind of all pulled together. Tracy's always there, and it actually did turn out fine. Due to the fact that, regardless of what happened. But we want to thank everyone. Annette Marks, my accounting board person, is awesome. So I just want to thank everyone that came in and helped, and even just the residents that came in and gave us a thumbs up, or even a good word, that helps also to keep you going. We also had students from Hamity that also participated in our election and helped with us. I think we had about 15 or 16 students that actually came in and helped. Tracy trained them, and so that was really a good experience. It was so exciting to go over to the polls and see them all dressed up, and they were just excited to be a part of such a big part of the election. So, but I'd like to thank everyone that helped. We got through it, and we're moving forward. I don't think I have any other, I can't think of anything else. That's it.
Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
Oh,
Are there any trustee reports?
I just have a request. Manya, maybe we could have election commission meeting and go over some of this stuff, maybe? It's just a thought.
Maybe.
Trustee Fettel?
I'd just like to say that we had a very good turnout for the trunk or treat this year. And our next event coming up is the Elf Hunt. It'll start on December the 2nd and go through the 11th. And we are, on December the 2nd, going to have a kickoff at the Financial Plus, and we'll have Santa Claus there from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m.
What's the date on
The Santa Claus? December the 2nd, Financial Plus from 2 to 4.
that? Trustee Clee?
I was gonna also mention and thank the two gentlemen and the young lady sitting over there at the table for the hard work they put in to make sure that the memorial finally came to fruition. The lady at the end of the table worked her fanny off. And for those of you that haven't been over there, it's well worth it. The gentleman in the front row, speaking of bricks, the opportunity for you to also get involved and to let the community also to get involved. There's one there that my wife and I purchased for my sister, who spent sister-in-law, 24 and a half years in the Navy. She's retired, and my brother, who was in the Air Force for 6.5 years, and their block is there. But there's a lot of other spaces, a lot of other opportunities for you folks to respect and honor those. It's, like you stated, I don't know how it happened. We had a beautiful day. The sun was out. It was sunny. That doesn't happen in November. Here in Michigan, we could be Buffalo, but we're not 5 foot of snow, thank gosh. But again, it was really a nice, and you worked really hard to get the bricks, to make everything happen. I know. And the gentleman sitting back there with us is, where's his wife? He's by himself tonight. He's sliding down in the chair. When we had to have it raised, and that day and the day before, they busted their fanny to make sure that the mulch was down, everything was spread, and he doesn't get enough applause, he and his wife, who, they're on their hands and knees constantly, and it's appreciated, sir.
He wasn't formally on the committee, but he camped out over at the police department park.
For a long time.
Making it beautiful and making sure that, I mean, the mulch in, the mulch out, the flowers, it just was really beautiful. Thank you to Mary Beth and Neil Seward for all the work that they did.
As well, so I'm good with that, yeah. So everybody, again, if you haven't been over there, it's awesome, it's a great touch to the PD, and the FD, the Flint Township Fire Department's also allowed to go over there a lot as well, so just mentioning that both sides, thank you.
We'll move on to,
I just want to say, I was out ill that day. I hate the cold, so don't be surprised if there's going to be a second memorial in the summertime.
Could even cook hot dogs or something.
There you go, see?
Fire Department has a big grill.
Yes, I saw it.
we'll move on to staff reports. Chief Salter, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Since the last board meeting, your police department responded to over 3,000 calls, which is about a 90 plus per day average. Including that is 14 shots fired, call, 2 shootings, over 200 domestics, over 160 disorderlies, and 93 unknown trouble calls. Of course, in addition to our heavy call volume, we made over 300 traffic stops, 217 business checks, and 113 residence checks. As you can see, we started our annual Beards for Kids with the very dark beard I got going on right now. But we raised over $1,200, which we're going to donate to a family in need within our township. So that's always a good thing that we've been doing now for the last 3 years. We also coordinated with a local business, Matrix Expedited Service, for a turkey giveaway. We worked with the help of the fire department and Mike McDougall, who was one of the owners of Matrix. We gave away 50 turkeys to our seniors at the senior center today. That's always good to give back. And now a quick public safety announcement. Of course, holiday season is upon us, so if you do have Christmas presents in your car, please do me a favor, lock your doors. Something simple. That concludes my report, and I have one item for the agenda.
Thank you.
Can I set in for a minute? I owe you $20. The lieutenants were trying to collect it from me the other day at the meeting, or but I owe you my 20 that I always give for November. Mine doesn't come off, and mine's silver like yours.
So we move on to Fire Chief Beckley.
Thank you. Since the last board meeting, we have responded to over 125 incidents. We had 8 structure fires in that time, 2 vehicle entrapment calls, and 2 mutual aid assist to neighboring departments. I'll touch on just a few of the structure fires real quick. On October 27th, we responded to a structure fire on the 4400 block of Penderground Drive. Fire crews arrived to find fire through the roof of the residence. There still was a resident inside the home at that time. Sergeant Colbeck and one of our new firefighters, Firefighter Bauer, assisted that gentleman out of the house safely, and fire crews did extinguish the fire relatively fast. While on that incident, we were also dispatched to a commercial fire at Sunridge Apartments. Fire crews arrived to find smoke in the hallways of the building and found a fire on the upper level. The cause of this fire is under an investigation at this time, and we were assisted by Mount Morris Township Fire Department, the Flint Township Police Department, and Michigan State Police Fire Investigation Unit on that incident. On 11/4, we had a structure fire in the 2500 block of McCollum Avenue. Found fire on the outside of the house that extended up into the attic and burnt above one of the bedrooms inside of the home. That fire appears to be caused by a bird's nest on top of a light. So again, a reminder, take care of those things. If you see those bird's nests, those kind of things where they shouldn't be, they can cause incidents over time. So pay attention to those. On the 6th, we responded to a fire in the 2000 block at Ella Drive. Found a home there fully involved upon the fire department's arrival. This fire was brought under control. We were assisted by Mount Morris Township Fire Department, and 1 civilian was injured, and that fire was transported to the hospital. Also on the 6th, later on that night, we assisted the city of Burton on a commercial structure fire 5 fire personnel assisted on that incident. They were out there for about 4 or 5 hours helping them out. On the 11th, we had a fire on the 4,000 block of Van Slyke Road. We were dispatched to either a vehicle or a building on fire. They weren't sure. When we got there, we found 3 vehicles on fire in the parking lots. Luckily, there was no damage to the building, but 3 vehicles were damaged in that fire. Later on that day, we had a fire in the 3,000 block of Beacon Avenue. This fire appears to be caused by an electrical issue and was contained to one wall in a bedroom. Minor damage there. And then on the 13th, we had a fire in the 3,300 block of Preston Avenue. Arrived to find the outside of the home on fire, which was extinguished quickly. There was no damage to the inside of the home, but that fire is under investigation as a suspicious fire. On the 16th, we assisted the city of Flushing on an alarm while they were operating on a structure fire in their area. One engine and myself responded to that incident to help them out as well. And just a reminder, as Thanksgiving approaches this week, remind everyone to cook safely. Never leave things unattended in your kitchen. Always make sure that you are paying attention to those items. When it comes to turkey fryers, always make sure they're well away from your home, not in your garage, not near your garage or vehicles. And make sure you always put the turkey in with the flames turned off, with the gas turned off. And make sure your turkey is dried and thawed completely before you do that. Luckily, we haven't seen any. People are starting to get used to those fryers, I think, a little bit more, but definitely some words of advice as we near Thanksgiving. And year to date, our total calls for this year right now, we are at 983 incidents. This is already over last year's total. So we are having a little uptick in calls, and we have one action item on the agenda this evening, and just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving later on this week. Thank you. Sorry for the long report.
No, it's good, thank you. Mrs. Tucker, do you report this evening?
Just a few things. I do want to thank the board members who helped get us to the final steps of the memorial. Just a little background on that. You covered a lot of it, but the original idea was actually my father and I came to the board at that time back in 2007. He was supposed to be the fundraiser for it, and a few months after we started the project, he passed away. So Roger Powell, who stepped up to help out with it, and we worked on it for quite a while, and then we lost all our help. So I really am thankful that Mrs. Vert, Mrs. Vapdahl, and Karen and Tom, the C-Words, all these people that stepped up to actually bring it to final. Quinn Zeller from Zeller Excavating did a ton of work for us for free. A lot of it was free. Fessler Bowman actually did all the concrete work for free. Ron Lammy donated the concrete, and so without people like them, we wouldn't have gotten it done, but without the people that helped bring it to fruition, it wouldn't have gotten done either. So it was always important to my dad that not only do the veterans be recognized, but it always bothered him that all these memorials that we go to, our police and fire were never represented. And so that was how it started. And now we've come full circle, and I'm very grateful for all those who helped get us to this point. On a different note, we do have our elf hunt coming up. We did do the trunks and treats, which was another great event. But the elf hunt will start on the 2nd, as Trustee Vapdahl said. We are going to have the kickoff at Financial Plus, but we're also again having the tree lighting ceremony at Bishop International Airport. So we're working alongside with them, and I believe it's on the 7th. I will get back with you on that date, and we'll have that as part of our event schedule that we're putting out there. So anybody who's interested in any of the community events that we do, They are always on our Flint Township Events Facebook page, and that's Flint TWP Events. So if you go on there and you follow that page, you'll always get the most up to date on what events we have going on. So, no, I think that's it. Our Lady of Lebanon is also looking at doing a Christmas event on the 16th and 17th. They're looking at doing a lighting ceremony and having some carolers and that type of thing. They want it to be a community event, so we're working with them as well to try to help them out. That's it.
Thank you. And you have some, did you say you have items on the agenda, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I have the 3 budgets on the agenda.
Thank you. So we'll move on to committee reports. John Whiteside from the Road Advisory Committee has a report for us.
Good evening, Township Board. I'm John Whiteside, Secretary of the Road Advisory Committee, and I'm reporting on our meeting we had last Monday, the 14th. And Mike Pfeiffer, the engineer that we work with, he came and gave us an update. The Lavelle Road project is all completed. At that time, the striping was left to do. Every manhole on that road was replaced, so that was a good thing. The Mackin Road paving was completed, as well as Concord paving was completed. Both of them still had some shoulder work to do at our meeting last week. Overall, the projects came in under budget. 2 of them were actually a little over budget, but 1 was under budget quite a bit. So that left us a fund balance for this year, which is going to be carried over to next year. So give us a little more money to work with in 2023. 2 of the projects that originally slated for 2022 was Ramsgate off of Calkins Road and the catch basin repair on River Valley. But when the bids came in, we had to cut some stuff out, and those were cut out because the bids were so high for this year. So at the last meeting, we worked on the 2023 road plan, and Mike had provided us some rough estimates that we had asked for at our October meeting, and we talked about them, and we came up with about 6 main projects, and we added a few to that. River Valley, obviously, from this year was put on next year. We've been trying to get that project done for a couple years. Ramsgate, which is off of Calkins, that's actually like 2 projects because we have a catch basin and drain issues there that need to be repaired, and the road surface. And the other ones we talked about, we've had resident come to our meetings several times over the past couple of years about Shady Hill Court. It's a little cul-de-sac. It is off a metal lane. Surface of the road is tore up in the cul-de-sac, so we got a rough estimate on doing that from where metal back to the cul-de-sac. Charter Drive is another one the resident has complained about. That's over in the south part of the township. The whole road doesn't need it. There's several sections that is cement that needs to be tore up and repaired. So we're looking at doing that. Trotwood Lane is another one. It was brought to Barb Vert and my attention at a meeting that we were at. We went out and looked at it. We've had the engineer give us some rough estimates on it. And we're looking at repaving that whole section of road, not just the bad area on the corner. And then we also talked about Fleckenstein and Norco drives down by the police station. And those part of Norco had been resurfaced years ago, but we're looking at trying to do that. But those are more of a commercial road. And looking at the rough numbers we had, we really don't know how we can fit Fleckenstein and Norco in the budget. And we're gonna hopefully find another way to repair those roads. That's something Supervisor Miller had talked about. A couple of the other projects we looked at, still trying to get the corner of Dye and Calkins repaired. There's some issues there from when those roads were resurfaced. We're gonna look at Lask, Ethel, and Elodia, and then also Pinewood and Redwood. Kind of get these estimates so we get our major projects we want to do, and then if we have something that's smaller that fits in the budget, we want to do them. So as we move forward here, we're trying to get our numbers finalized at our next meeting, which is going to be December 12th. We hope we can bring recommendations to the board to vote on at your December meeting. And can't guarantee it, but we'll see how that works out. If it's not December, it'll be early January. We want to get this done as soon as we can so they can get the bids out. So as you can see, our Township Road Advisory has been working real diligent and trying to get plans together. trying to improve the roads with a little bit of money we do have to work with. So I'd also like to wish all the board members and the residents a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We had
Yeah,
John.
John, Mr. Whiteside, is it possible, like you've got really nice notes there, that could be submitted to the clerk for inclusion in our board packet, so we would have all of that? If it's emailed over, we could get it included as informational.
To you guys when I do a report?
Yes, prior
Yeah.
to. If we could get it prior to, then we could have it and be able to look at all. You guys have a lot of street names and everything, and it gets a little fuzzy. That would just be helpful, and I think the community would be able to look at that, so.
Yeah, we could do, I could do that.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, John. And I want to say thank you to the Road Advisory Committee. They're a group of, I think now we have 9. It's, the bylaws call for 9. We haven't had 9 the whole year. But it's a volunteer group, and they give of their time to go and inspect the roads themselves with their own eyes. And we collaborate and come up with a good list of roads to present for a recommendation for recommending repairs to this board. This board makes the decisions on how the money's spent, but the road advisory is the one that does the heavy lifting and makes that recommendation. And I see Dave Huffman's here, who was part of the original committee, and he served almost 10 years. Wayne Neerman, sitting there, has served since 2006, and he's still a member of that committee. John Whiteside is a secretary. John, you've been secretary since 2006, is that correct? That's a long time to serve. And Jean Leverett, how long have you been on that committee, Jean? 6, 7 years?
7 years.
7 years. And it's volunteer, and I just want to say thank you. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Thank you for that work that you do. So that's our reports. We move on to our presentations. We have a presentation from Peckham. They're a company in the township doing great things, and Mary Scales is here from Peckham. Thank you for being here, Mary.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Mary Scales from Peckham. Peckham is a large industry that's located in Lansing that put a location here with Tracy's help. We are, what we do though, we are the self-advocacy team. And we go out into the community and we meet our local and our federal and our state officials, and we build relationships with them. Last year we had the city mayor, Flint city mayor, Nellie in for a visit and we did a tour. And this year we had Supervisor Karen and Tracy Tucker come and do a meet and greet with us in October. And there we decided that we would partner together for our Thanksgiving donations. So every year we adopt 3 families for Thanksgiving, and we give them a complete meal. And the money that we use for this is the money that our employees put together from their bottles and recyclables that they buy in our vending machines. A little bit about our employees. They are 85% of the people that we work with are people with disabilities. They have any disability from physical to a mental to a psychological to, hey, we're not too sure. But so 85% of those people have something that they are working with and dealing with every day. So we try to build on that and enhance their qualifications and make them employable. So what we do is we transition people that had been in, like maybe you had some kind of mental breakdown or a situation where you ended up in some kind of legal situation or something and you're trying to get back into the community. We are a transitional employment center, and we're located next door to Kohl's, and the self-advocacy group comes out and does things like this, but we try to volunteer in the community. We went to the Gus Macker basketball tournament, and we just passed out information about our company and what we do, because there's a lot of people in the community that needs to get back into employment, and Peckham can help you. So we do a lot of speaking engagements, and we promote our people to leadership goals and to build up their characters and whatever things they would like to improve in our community and in themselves. One of my issues was I became disabled because I became depressed due to a large amount of things that were happening to my mouth and my face, and it caused me to have some depression problems. I ended up having a cyst in my mouth that they had to remove, and then they had to take out my teeth and take out my pretty smile and all this stuff. So I ended up with another pretty smile, but it's not really mine. So it caused a lot of depression and things like that. But it ended up putting me in a position to be here today. So I have been at Peckham for 3 years, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm the president of the PSAT team, and that's the self-advocacy team. And you'll see a lot more of us working with the community. But last year we gave our Thanksgiving, we adopted 3 families in the city of Flint. So this year I wanted to get to know the Flint Township group. So that's why we try to communicate and build a relationship so that we can give 3 families in this community the help for Thanksgiving also. And I got with
Tom. Yes, ma'am.
And we're gonna get together tomorrow, and I'll email you with the information that we need to get the families and get the meals. We'll deliver them on Wednesday, and that'll be our Thanksgiving contribution to the Flint Township.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? You said
Yes.
you started there 3 years ago, and now you're
Yes.
president of that team?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
This is the first team in this location, so yeah, hopefully someone else will be the president next year. But I've been doing it for 2 years, and this is a great job, but it's a lot of work. And we are a manufacturing training center, and what we make I make bulletproof vests for the military. All of our contracts, in fact, 95% of our contracts are military contracts. So we also make the long john pants for them to, for all the military all over the United States. Yeah, and we use nothing but United States products. We use everything that's made in the United States, so we make sure we stay in our own area.
And Mary, you said you wanted to engage with those around you, us in the city of Flint. Do you
Yes.
have annual or semi-annual open houses that any of our trustees or police or fire could come over and?
Yes, that's a great question. We have an annual training every year around August the 19th and the 20th. I can email you guys when it will, but I would love for you all to tour.
That'd be great.
To tour, and you can meet our bosses, and what they do when you guys do tour, they bring our Lansing leadership group, and they bring those down to meet you, our CEO and our head people and stuff, and it's a really nice occasion. And I would really love to have all of you to tour for our August 2023
Thank you very much.
annual training.
Can Trustee Clee ask a question?
Yes.
Well, I want to comment on something you stated. That's a beautiful smile, dear. And I
Thank
met
you.
you in the hall, and we talked, and that beautiful smile is what, that carries you. So your smile goes from here to here.
I hope so.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
and it shows.
Appreciate
Yes,
you.
ma'am, and I look forward to talking in the morning.
You sure will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the 2023 budget presentation. Evan McIntyre, our controller. Are you going to pass those out for us, right?
I have some copies if people don't have copies, but I don't have a ton of copies if whoever wants them.
Thank you.
No,
Good,
I
have my stuff.
I think I kept one, so whoever.
I'm good, Trace. I printed my stuff.
I'll take one.
We have extras if somebody needs some other.
Already got one.
Yeah, please. Oh, it's a long reach, thanks.
You need one? No?
Oh, do they need this one too?
That's the summary page. The first page was the summary, the paper clipped one is like the detail.
Oh, so they need this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The single sheet is a summary.
We've got it. It was together. Tracy, let me see mine, just. Here, it was.
No, that's different.
Tracy.
Yeah, the single page is separate. It's like a summary page, and then the one that's paper clipped together is the detail behind all those lines.
I know, she said no, and then she said yes. You want to know the truth? Stop.
Single.
Stop.
Oh, on top. Yes. Okay, got it.
I did for you. Hey.
Somebody's.
What? Who can't you hear, Terry? Me? Oh, them? Make sure your mic's
Kevin,
around.
can you pull that close?
There we go. There you go. Check, check, check.
Much closer.
Mic check.
Like a lot closer, is that all right?
More closer.
Even closer than that,
Closer.
dual mic.
Pull the thing out of it. Pull it straight out. Ladies and
How
gentlemen,
about now?
Can you hear him, Terry?
Kevin McIntyre.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so as I said, the first page, the single page is a summary that kind of just summarizes each department within the general fund. And I only have printed general fund because I thought that's all we were talking about. But there's, all the other funds are similar layout to this, so I can send out whatever ones that we want to look at. But in general, the layout, the last two columns are my projections, and then what we sent out to the department heads, and they got their input to say this is what they needed in their budget. So those final two columns are the projections for 2023. The columns across are like just a history going back to 18, the different activities, so you can see the trends in those numbers. We are under a corrective action plan from the state, and I tried to cut as much as I could out of this budget to try to get it to a balanced budget, but there's no way. As you can see in my column, which is the prep budget, it still has a deficit of $524,000. We have higher than expected revenues projected because of inflation. Inflation is gonna increase taxable values by 5%. So our revenues are going up, but unfortunately, inflation means all our expenses are going up. So I still had to budget higher amounts for a lot of things, and I cut wherever I could. But as you can see, we're still in a negative. And the department heads, even those numbers have changed since I printed this because it's pretty intensive. I've had conversations with some people who have changed their budget, so this 631 as the deficit might not be that high because some people have said, oh, well, take this out of my budget, or I don't want this in my budget, that kind of thing. So the department head budget isn't as bad as the 631, but it would be somewhere between the 524 and the 631.
Can I, it's Kevin still. Never mind. Go ahead. No, I was gonna ask a question.
So I just wrote down some highlight stuff for our 23 budget that are contained in here so that over time you can kind of see what we're dealing with. If you look at retirement trends, in 2011, we only had 797,000 was our retirement costs. In 2021, that retirement cost is 2,176,000. So that's a massive increase, and for the year of 2021, it was about 20% of our budget is just retirement costs. So there's just, we can't keep up. We have a lot of people who retired and not near as many people paying into it as we have retired. And the people within the building, through labor negotiations, they're capped at like 10%. So all the increase of these costs of the plans all falls to the township. I said we're under the corrective action plan. We do have a couple bright spots with our corrective actions plans. We are finally over 60% funded. Last year, the market had a pretty good increase, so it is gonna be, the increase helped push us over the 60% mark. So the state has reached out to us to say that if it continues to be over 60% as of December 31st, we can request to come out of our corrective action plan for one of our retirement costs, which would save us $225,000 out of next year's budget. So I have $524,000 as in overage. That would actually be $225,000 less if the market doesn't tank or we have issues between now and the end of the year, hopefully not. So that would help that number to only be the 400 or 300,000, no. Yeah, 400,000 deficit rather than the 524. The other corrective action that we are under is our OPEB. Through, again, labor negotiations, there will no longer be the long-term health care. So when people retire, they won't get the health care. So part of that negotiation helps our OPEB costs, which is $181,000 a year that we have to fund to get to the percentage. It's a much different percentage, and it's not gonna happen like within the next year or 2 years. But as the corrective action plan goes along the next 3 or 4 years, we should be able to come out of that corrective action as well, and that's $181,000 that would then be freed up. So in the next 2 to 3 years, we have some good things coming down the pipe, but that's coming, it's not current. In some of the revenue projections that we've discussed, I've tried to be very conservative. I don't want to overestimate revenues and then be in trouble in trying to explain why we didn't make 11 million in revenues when it's always been 10 or, so I tried to be conservative with some of the projections that we have for like fire marshals, the rental compliance, and even with our tax revenues, because higher taxes means more people won't pay their taxes and they could potentially lose their homes. So yes, our taxable values go up, but we could potentially lose more than we gain. So I tried to be conservative, but you can see our revenue is projected to be higher, but it's not something we can count on for very much longer. And the last 2 years, we've got significant amounts of revenue from the state and the ARPA dollars. All that has sort of padded our revenue lines to make it look like we're making a lot of money, a lot more money, but all those are going away and we're not going to be making as much in revenue after next year. So that's kind of all the trends that I have set out. And over the years, we've done a lot of different things to try to save money. Through negotiations, we've got people to leave certain retirements and go into different retirement plans. Those are starting to pay dividends, so to speak. We're coming towards the end of like our Public Act 345 for fire retirement, but that's still a significant expense that we have to carry on. Once the last of those people have retired, it's a closed project, but we still have to fund it fully for all the people who are in it or who are currently in it. So that, again, over time, 3 to 4 years again, we'll start to see benefits of what decisions were made, 5-10 years ago.
On that note, when that occurs and there's no active employees who have PA, is it 345?
Yeah, PA 345.
Once that's closed, does that mean we contribute anymore?
There will still be a contribution because depending on the contracts, they have like cost of living and raises and things like that. But once we get to 100% funded, the amount that we'll have to contribute will drop significantly, and then it'll just be more of a maintenance payment than the large payments we have to make now. I mean, they're significant payments that we have to pay into it. But we are at 92% funded. As soon as we're 100% funded in the next 3 to 4 years, that drops significantly.
And the firefighters that are in the new plan, it's much less, is that correct?
Yeah, it's in the MERS program, and I'd have to look up the number, but it's comparing apples and oranges. They're not even in the same realm of cost.
I think that plan closed 345. That changed for any new hires. That was back in 2012, I think.
I believe it was 2012 is when it took effect, the new plan, yeah.
Also, the retiree healthcare savings plan.
Yeah,
right?
that's the OPEB one. So now, again, through the negotiations, that there won't be any new people. We will have to continue to fund that to get to the level. The rules for that are a little bit different because it's 25 years from now versus like retirement could be 10 years or 5. There's a mix of people who are going to retire.
So that started with POAM. They came to us back in 2015 and said, let's do this. It's an idea. And so now we have about 20 current employees who are part of that plan, so that when they retire, they'll have their savings plan when they leave, and the township will have no obligation to pay their health care after that.
Correct. Yeah.
And negotiating was, I don't know if it was this last round, I think it was, we got all of the unions, new hires, to go into that. So
Correct.
at some point down the line, there will not be a healthcare legacy cost for the township to bear once we have retirees.
Correct. And I did some like really basic numbers on that. When someone retires, most of the time they're at 55, and we would have to cover their health care from 55 to 65 before they go into like Medicare or Medicare Advantage. At today's cost, that's almost $250,000 per person to cover that cost for that 10-year program. So by removing them from that plan and giving the healthcare savings, we give, I believe it's like 8% of their salary that they can now control, and they can invest however they choose to invest and build that over time for them to pay these insurance costs. And the cost difference is almost $100,000 per person cheaper by even over the 25-year span that they could be working. The amount that we pay for their salary, or the percentage of their salary that we pay, is only about $150,000 as a cost over the 25-year span, versus for the 10 years where we have to pay $250,000. So it's a massive savings years-wise, because you can spread those payments over every year, and it's $100,000 net. So those were definitely things we've done to improve this budget, but we had a ways to go, and this is cutting as much as possible is the 500 number.
Are we going to have further discussion on this? This isn't the realm for it, and these guys don't want to sit and hear it. If they were coming for us to sit and review the budget like all of us have had the effort, but we're planning on a work day, correct?
Yeah, so the idea was that the board would receive a draft of the budget tonight, and you had requested that Kevin would come and do a presentation for the board, and I just thought on an overview, if there was questions for Kevin, or just to let the trustees know that between now and December 5th, I know we had 3 trustees request a workshop, and Deb Campbell, who couldn't be here tonight, is able to be at a workshop December 5th. And I know I mentioned it to you. I don't know if I mentioned it to anyone else. If that date and time works for everyone, we have the public hearing that was set for December 5th during our regularly scheduled meeting at 6 o'clock. If the trustees want to do that, we can have the workshop at 4 o'clock on December 5th and dive deeper into the budget and ask questions. But if you have questions between now and then, don't hesitate to contact Kevin and talk with him.
We could, well, and the public would be all invited for that. It would be an open meeting, but you would be listening to the numbers. One thing I was going to suggest maybe, is, if possible, is that we could project to the screens on that day. Trace, I'm looking to you. We could project to the screens that day, so anybody else that would like to sit here, and Kev, you could work off on that as well.
Yeah, within our BSNA program, there's several different models that I can bring up, and it's very difficult to print this and get a printed copy. But on a screen, I can do a 12. Like I have all the years that we have loaded, so you can see over 11 since 2011, all the different years, the revenues, the expenses by year, so that you can compare those. There's a million different filters. So like if anyone wanted to look at just retirement costs, I can filter those out. With the system, it's much easier and a lot cleaner and faster for me to do this. Paper is very constrictive because I only have so much and it's got to print on one page, and it can be difficult. But if we put it on the system and show, it's very easy for me to manipulate the data and get you whatever answer you're looking at or how you want to see it. I can adjust it very easily.
You mentioned 4. I mean, we were talking about times and not impacting too many other people, but I mean, if we wanted to go as early as 3, I don't know how people would start and how tired you want to be. If we went 3 to 5, and then if the ladies needed to use the restroom, or anybody else needed to scoot, we could 3 to 5 and then break, or 3:30 to 5 and then still have a half an hour break or 15-minute break for you guys to run or somewhere. I can be here at 3.
Because men don't use the restroom?
I didn't say we don't use the restroom, but, you know, sometimes, I'm just saying, I was being respectful as a gentleman, saying I want the ladies to have that opportunity, so. I'll shut up now. Stop it, Leverett. Leave me alone, man. I'm gonna shut my mouth. God, I open it and I get in trouble.
I just want to say I can adjust to whatever you got. I'm here every day, so whenever, whatever, I can adjust to anything.
Well, I'm gonna jump in real quick, interrupt you, and I'm sorry I'm talking to everybody. Kev, I came and asked, and I got, and we talked, and you emailed and went through, and I mean, thank you. You busted your fanny for the last 6 weeks trying to get through these guys, through everybody, to get everything scored away. And, you know, I received this last Thursday late, and I spent I'm not going to say I spent the entire weekend, but I spent part of the weekend grading papers, and because it was in the marking period, and this is my turn, was the end of my marking period because I needed to look at this as well. And thank you for two groups of 3 hours of students today doing assignments to catch up. This was on my desk the whole day. But I want that meeting, and I think it's important that we all have that conversation. But this way we can have some look ahead of time before.
Yeah, and like I said, if we bring it up on the system, it's much more, like there's a detailed page, but you can click into any detail and look down to the actual invoices to see what's driving these costs. I mean, it's a lot of information, and whatever anyone wants to see, I can easily manipulate it and get it to you to see however you want to look at it.
I just want to say, I made the big announcement at our last meeting at how well we were doing with the budget, that we were getting very close, at least minimizing our deficit. We had gotten it down to look like the $500,000, and I see now where it looks like we're going in the wrong direction from what the departments have submitted. So I'd be wait for the meeting
for
to have
sure,
a conversation about that.
Bringing a red marker.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Again, since this has been printed, I've talked to some people who are saying, no, I want to change my budget and we'll remove some of it. So it wouldn't be as bad as the 631.
Okay.
But I've definitely, again, when you're printing it, I have 15 copies that were going to be scrap paper if I made those changes. So I didn't reflect them here, but I have talked to people that this number will be going down. It's not going to go down to the 524 because there are some requests in here as well that will have to be talked about, like whoever wants.
It could go below the 524 when we're done.
Things he stated, one of the things Kevin stated in the notes I have here is that, you know, we're looking at the corrective action plan, and if we receive the December 31st bump, we drop another 225, and that 524 goes down to 300 grand, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're in that number.
And I have to put that in my budget because
Right.
we're required to, but the 31st, if we maintain our 60%, I would definitely file papers with the state to come out of corrective action so that we wouldn't have to pay that next year.
Okay, so we're under 2 corrective actions. We would be coming out of 1 and still remaining in the others.
Yes,
Correct.
yep, the OPEB is, that corrective action plan when it was designed was over 15 years.
Right.
So that one is a much longer time span.
Huge
but-
amount of money.
Yeah, the fact that it's a closed plan, though, the money we're putting in will fund it much faster than the 15 years that the corrective action plan was set for.
And then the other piece I'd like maybe to discuss was the restricted funds, because some of the restricted funds, you didn't mention that, I know, so.
Yep, so at one of our board meetings, we kind of went through the restricted funds to see what those are. And part of them are, like, they're accounting wise, like we have to have some of the prepaids, even though they're going to be next year's expenses, you still have to book them as prepaid expenses, which you have to have available for your fund balance. And then there's a lot of police items where there are rules on how you can spend that money. So we have a significant number in those funds that we would like to unrestrict, but even if we unrestrict them and we can move them out, there's still rules, like Kevin, when they collect drug forfeitures, you have to spend it in certain ways, and there's rules to it. It's not like, when I said we were going to free up a bunch of money, then talking to Kevin, it's not that as easy as just saying, oh, they're all unrestricted and we can now move this money over.
Except that if it's some of that, we can probably free up the general fund and use those funds instead of letting them sit there year after year. If it's-
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's for police, they could use
For
those
sure,
funds.
like, there's some of them that have been restricted since 2011, and it's just been restricted for 2011. So those are the ones I'm talking about. We should look at and say, what are the rules? Can we spend this, or is there a way that we could use it in the current budget to, like, at least get it off our books so we don't have to keep carrying a restricted balance?
So that'll be more ongoing discussions with our auditors.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
So that's either done by what the law allows, like in the police department, you have some restricted funds, right? So we're not gonna touch those. When it comes to general fund, if something has been restricted, and it's a small amount, it would be we'd unrestrict it by resolution, correct?
Correct. Yep, the board would have to take action to say, just unrestrict these funds, and then I could move them to just a regular fund balance.
But the restriction is not a savings, it's to
No.
use for that purpose.
That
So
purpose,
that's what I'm saying,
specific
even if the
purpose.
police had
Yes,
restricted
well,
funds,
and some of
they
them, so
should
like we
use
have a
those
restricted balance in the
funds
canine, that you can only spend the money for canine, people have donated that money for the
Right.
canine. So we can only spend that money in canine. Well, if we're not buying a dog next year, then it still has to stay restricted.
Right.
Those kind of rules is what I'm talking about. But there's several funds that have, and they're not huge, high dollar amounts, but there's a lot of funds that have been restricted over the years. Again, it's been since 2011. I wasn't here, so I couldn't tell you what the rules or why it was restricted, but we could definitely,
Delve deeper into it and figure out why.
yeah, have a discussion of, is this still something we're doing? Was it restricted for a reason? Is that reason still valid? Can we unrestrict them?
I know it's a bare bones budget, and I want to thank everybody that's been involved in putting forth the efforts on all of our departments, heads, and everybody, the police, but everybody's really trying to do the best we can with the budget, so I do want to thank everybody for that. And you, Kevin, I know we run you ragged sometimes, but thank you for all of the flexibility that you've allowed us.
Yep. Yeah, and I say this all the time. If anyone has any questions at any time, just let me know. I'll do whatever I can. I'll sit with you, whatever it takes. I'm always available.
Did you have anything else you wanted to?
No, unless anyone has anything specific questions, that was kind of like the outline and overall topic. Like, I knew we were gonna have another meet. I didn't know when, but we can go into like detail line by line if you want, or however.
Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
So, did anyone else have any questions?
Are we agreeing to December 5th at 3 o'clock?
As early as 3, if that's okay, but, I mean, if you wanted it 4, then we go 4 to,
Do four.
you'd rather do 4?
Just 1 hour? Oh, hour and a
We can
half.
go to 5:30, 4 to 5:30.
Or 3:35?
Because Deb
works too, she's got
I'm sorry, I'm good for 3.
Yep.
I think it's gonna take longer than
I think
4 to 6.
What about her work
She said she was gonna make that day available, so we could go as early
Check
as 3.
the time with her.
Yes,
You're
we-
thinking 3?
We're thinking 3, yes.
3 would, like Barb said, 3 would be a much better, give us more time to, and all of you folks are welcome, please. You're there to, it's an open meeting, so.
Okay.
And I will save my questions for the workshop.
And my notes that I've made more since you and I talked in my highlighters.
Yep. And if there's something you want me to do ahead of time, let me know and I'll make sure I have it available. Because it is very easy to manipulate the data in the system, but if there's something specific you're looking for, it may take me a second to set it up. So if I know ahead of time, I can get the data, make the data available.
And the other budgets, will we have that discussion at?
They're out there, they're available. I can print those. I don't know how you want to see them. They're done, they're out there. Same thing, I can bring them up and show you any one of them. We can go into each one. The only one I brought today was general fund because I thought that would be the focus of what we were talking on.
But the workshop is gonna be both, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can cover all of them at that time. And most of them, there's a lot of budgets that there won't be much question, like the road millage and things like that are pretty much set.
Right.
We're under corrective action for the road millage one, so there's not much play in that budget. So it's more or less an informative look than, like, we could change it, actually.
Right. But we have to understand, too, the state's really gonna be looking at this. Bottom
Yeah,
line.
for sure.
'Cause
We had
this
to.
isn't what I expected.
I did the best I could to cut as much as
No,
I
you
could.
did. I know.
But last year, for this year, we're projected 932 deficit. The year before was 1.6 million deficit. So I cut I cut a lot. And tried to not cut us short for what I know we're going to have to, like with 8% inflation, fuel costs are gonna be up, utility costs everything is going to cost more. So I try to keep that in mind, but at the same time, if you didn't need it, I didn't give it.
No further questions for Kevin McIntyre up here?
Good.
And you are going to be heading out, is that right?
I can stay, that's fine.
Well, yeah, it's late and I have to be here early, but there's something that Kevin and I discussed, and I think that you have been on the conversation about, we have a temporary full-time employee, Tara, I forgot her last name. She works, say it again? Provost.
She's here.
Yeah, the board approved her working until the election was certified, but we've discussed a need where we have people. One of the things we've done to make cuts is each department in this building is down on employees. And there's going to be a need from Thanksgiving to,
So a year, wouldn't you say?
well, just to
Through
get
the
us through
holiday
the end of
season.
through the holiday season where people are gonna be on vacation. And she has worked in the water department, the tax department, and the elections department. And so I know this board approved her working through the certification of the election. And we discussed that there's a need, can we extend that through the end of the year? And if anything's needed after that, we can come back before the end of the year or the beginning of the year. But I know to cover in sewer and water and in
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a need for vacation times and holidays and things like that all through December. So if we could extend her through the end of the year, I don't know what the official, how you do all that, but we definitely have a need for it, at least until the end of the year.
Should ask, do we ask her desire? I mean, if she, maybe.
She's available.
Maybe she doesn't, okay. She's available?
Yeah, I definitely spoke to her and made sure that it was okay.
And I know she's here, and I know we've all spoken to her, but I want to.
Can we formalize that by having a motion?
Oh, that should have been an addition to
I
the
forgot.
agenda.
Again, I didn't know what the rules were, I just
We
knew
can add
that.
it now. If you want to vote to add it now, we can do that, and we can vote on the motion. But I know that the election's going to be certified soon, isn't it?
What day? When?
We don't know when.
So she's here until that, right, that time?
I think it's tomorrow, the 22nd, is that, it's not?
Not certified till the state certifies that, which would be before the 30th, I believe.
And our next board meeting's the 5th, so
So she's
I
here?
thought when we did it to begin with, it was through the end of the year.
it was till the vote was certified.
In that department, but she was originally brought into the Treasurer's Department under their bargaining contract, which says we can have additional help for 120 days, and she is nowhere near that 120 days, so we were gonna.
Can we shuffle her to, then
We're
we
gonna
can
shuffle her
shuffle
back.
her over?
Sure, then we don't need
if
to vote on it.
Then we
Right,
need to
okay.
vote on it. If she's
Right, we don't need to
120
vote on it.
days, she's good through the end of the year easily,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Alrighty, then we're set.
I think that's a
Okay.
great idea.
Alrighty, thank you, Kevin.
All yours.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense to me, I'm just saying.
It's in the contract. We'll show it to you.
That's not how she was brought in. Am I
Yes,
correct?
she-
How was
yes,
she,
she
how was
was.
she, how was she hired?
She was brought in under the
Tax department.
tax department. The emergency need
She
that we
was
had in the tax
originally,
department.
she was originally up front.
No, she originally came in to the
That's,
tax.
that's what
Oh,
I
yes,
always
up
say, I
front.
always say up front.
know, I'm up
I
front
mean
up
that
here.
way. No, I mean that way.
Yes. Yes. It was originally up front. Emergency situation. Their bargaining contract says we can have 120 days in the treasurer's department and 220 days, isn't it?
During tax time.
During
During
tax
tax
time and during election time. So this is the first time the treasurer's department has ever utilized having an additional person to assist us in the treasurer's department.
All right,
She
listen.
was pulled for elections, and so Kevin and I, when we had this discussion, we'd like to pull her back and have
All
her
right, well,
continue in
and
her 120
if I,
days.
listening to what Madam Vert stated, I think we're good until the end of this month for sure. But if, what needs to be clarified is personally, and I'm not, you three are the ones that would be sitting there, is you three, along with our union rep, Ms. Grzinka, look to confirm that we don't violate any of our policies that are in place, and make sure that she is not put in a position that somebody in the full-time union comes and says, no, yes, whatever. What I'm saying is that, let's back up to the
We've done that.
original,
We've done
let's look
that.
at the original minutes when we voted, how she could hold, so that we're not causing her any riff, and you guys aren't taking anything on a daily basis.
We've done that, and we will have another meeting with, we have a meeting coming up next week with the union, so.
Okay.
Yep.
And if necessary, like Barb, Medivert stated, we may have to, if November 30th is a day, per se, and that's when things happen, we would need, unfortunately, she may not be able to stay here for 4 days until the 5th to see what happens when we vote, just so that there's no policy breaking, no any issues like that. We're talking heavily on completing our policy packages, making sure we don't violate any issues. Let's not do any of that, so let's not cause any rift along the way. That's what I would
In
feel
other
would be.
words, dot all our i's and cross all our t's.
Yep, and I'm right there with you.
There's no policy violation in it. It
You
is in
did that.
accordance with the.
I just want to say to Tara, who is one of the best employees in a long time that the township has brought on board, whether it's part-time or whatever, she is diligent and she works very, very hard.
That's, yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. She's worked out she's worked in tax, sewer and water, and elections, and excelled at all three.
Alrighty,
And I'd break a rule to keep her.
but we're not. So.
We want to keep her, we just
thank
do it
you for
right.
being
Let's make sure we're
here
doing it
this
right.
evening.
We're doing it right, John.
Kevin.
But thank you.
Kevin?
And again, I'm urging anybody, if you have a question, or have need anything explained, whatever, Kevin's available, and, or then bring your questions to the December 5th workshop. Thank you for being here this evening.
Certainly.
We move on to 7C, Madam Clerk, that's the proclamation, are we?
So, New Creation Church has a new pastor, and they would like for us, the township, to give Pastor Mark Stanton II a proclamation.
STN.
However, we don't have all of the information for that at this time, because they did not forward everything to us.
And we can do it on the 5th.
But we can do it on
Have it all set. Mark
the
Stanton,
5th.
Stanton.
Alrighty, so we move on to number 8, payment of bills, Madam Treasurer.
Yes, so trustees should have received copies of the invoices. I'd like to make a motion that we approve invoices in the amount of $1,984,430.15, and that we also acknowledge disbursements for tax purposes in the amount of $940,802.33, for a grand total of $2,925,232.48.
Your motion is to pay the bills?
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
Any questions for Madam Treasurer?
I'll be voting no because I think there's an excessive of legal fees on this time around, again.
Okay, so any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $1,984,430.15.
Trustee Favdal?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor
Yes.
Miller? Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
And Trustee Burt?
No.
Who was the second on that, Melanie?
I did.
Thank you.
So now we move on to new business? No, number 9, sorry, is correspondence and informational items. You have the draft of the budget that was emailed to you. Is there anything else, Madam Clerk?
No.
We move on to new business. Action item A is the Beecher Road CIA. Ms. Tucker?
The Beecher Road CIA approved this draft, and it's being presented to you for approval, and then it will have to go back to them in December for adoption.
So you're asking our board to approve it?
Yes.
Does someone want to make the motion to approve it?
We would move that we, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, then I
Nope,
can.
go ahead.
My question will come after you make your motion.
We would move that we accept the proposed Beecher Road CIA 2023 budget as presented.
Is there a second to the, we have a second to the motion? Go ahead, Madam Treasurer, question?
The budgets, will these budgets go to budget workshop as well, or no?
No, these are done by the authorities. The authorities present the budget, and then,
Yeah,
but
'cause
all 3 of our budgets, I believe, well, I'll just stick with one at a time. As you see, we are not spending over what we're taking in within the budget. And we try to come in under budget every year. The only thing they added this year was they did add the decorations for the holidays, and they added a pilot program for pavement maintenance in their district for businesses that may want to fix their parking lots. And so they are providing matching grants to them up to $750 per business that they'll help them out a little bit with.
So the only reason why I was asking, because we used some ARPA funds, right, to pay off some of our debt that was part of DDA.
It was the roads.
$700,000
For the roads.
The roads, that was for the road specific.
The road,
She would have had 10 years, well,
That was DDA's?
the DDA and the 2
Right,
CIAs.
so I just didn't know if we were gonna get some of that money back from DDA, if the budget would reflect any of that. I didn't think it was a give, or hoping it wasn't just a give.
So we took the total of the 10 years of payments and used ARPA dollars to pay back the loan. So she would have had in all 3 of these budgets,
Additional expense.
Not in this
yeah,
one.
that's, you're right.
Yeah, there was no road.
Not
Not in Beecher
this
Road.
one, because there
Not
was
Beecher-
no
No,
SAD
DDA.
in there.
Right.
The DDA and the Bristol Road CIA would have had 10 years of smaller payments to pay that off. And so you're asking if,
Oh, was it in there,
no.
or no?
It wouldn't need to be because
was paid off with
we
ARPA
paid it
dollars.
off with the ARPA dollars, and it wouldn't be an expense incurred by them that way at all, because it's in that commercial district, the Bristol, like, Holiday Drive is an example, is it not?
Yes,
Holiday
Holiday
Drive is
Drive.
example of the repair and the work that they've done there, along with the federal money that we were able to receive for that as well.
Able to get grants.
I know we've had the discussion about, does the DDA get?
So are you wondering if she would have had to use that money each year for the next 10 years?
Oh, no, just pay us back
Yeah.
those ARPA dollars that we could have used in the general fund for the next 10 years, because
So if we had not used ARPA dollars to make those payments, you would have had to budget money coming out of your DDA and the Beach, or the Bristol Road CIA to make those yearly payments.
Right.
Right.
There are
But then
no,
they still would have shown as your loan. That was the whole point of doing the ARPA, because you were trying to get the loans off your books.
Right. We took the loans off ours by paying with the ARPA dollars up front, because we could do that and not incur the interest charges and all of that
Right.
for over the length of time.
get that,
It was the good move
Yes.
on that part.
I
'Cause
think
it-
the question is, had we not done that, not the Beecher Road, the DDA and the Bristol Road CIA would have had to show a payment for 2023 to make that yearly
Correct.
payment.
Correct.
So Lisa was inquiring, where's,
Can we have the discussion at our budget?
Sure.
But-
No,
Well,
because
oh,
this
this will be
isn't-
adopted by then?
yeah. So right now we're on the Beecher Road CIA. They've already approved this, right?
Yeah. This wouldn't have been
Recommended.
affected by any of that anyway.
Yeah, this doesn't have. an
Not the
appeal.
Beecher Road one. So now it's coming to us for approval, and then it's gonna go back
And when
for
it comes to the
adoption.
Bristol Road one, it may be an issue that we end up paying some out of there, even though it's not budgeted. We might have to amend the budget to help you guys out with that because of what's going on over there with, we
That
don't know what the
there's
end
a higher
cost
cost,
gonna
yeah.
be.
With that drain, the drain and all the work that they're doing down, that's a crazy mess right there if you haven't been down there.
It's done, the drainage is done, and we voted to take that out of ARPA too. So,
This
these.
one has no impact. We can vote on this right now, yea or nay, and then move to the next one. This one is a no, this was a no
DDA and the
impact.
Bristol Road won't be coming to the workshop.
It's a no impact.
So, do we have a motion?
Yes, and a second. Just looking for a vote.
I have a question.
Sure.
Tracy, and there are no raises in these, correct? I'm gonna ask again. Okay.
No, that's what I asked the question. for.
Actually, the cost for me went down because I went from family to just spouse, you know.
For healthcare. So, go ahead.
Well, on the salary, on the increases, I don't know, you know, at the end, on December 31st, 2020, on the board can, but December 31st, all of our union groups will receive a 2%. Everybody's getting 2%, right, for starting January 2023. And typically what happens is that
No,
they.
no, no.
No.
It's the last day of the year, December 31st, 2023, which
right.
essentially is effective for January 1st, 2024.
Oh, that's right.
22, yeah, it's 22 they're not getting it. 23
Not
they get
20,
it.
the last day of the year.
Right, right.
I'm good.
I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that if there was room, that if we filed suit, that if what the unions get, they move it to what the employees get.
So is there any further discussion on this budget before we vote on it? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to approve the Beecher Road CIA 2023 budget. In here, it says 21, you just have to, your columns say 2022 and 23, but the title
The
says
title says
2021.
22, yeah, I was gonna,
Oh, it says 23, are you
On
on?
the computer.
the projected budget in the electronic version says 21.
It
So
was
somebody just,
Just a title.
yeah, the title is not an issue. Everything else is the correct, just, and we don't have, so we can,
Mine's showing 23 in here. Oh, you mean on the
Title of the chart.
Excel spreadsheet?
yes, the
Oh,
title of the
okay.
chart.
All right.
Title of the chart
Thank
was a
you.
typo, but the
Thank you.
columns are 22, 22, and 23. Those are all correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Ready for roll call?
Yep,
Please.
let's do it.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
No,
Trustee Favdahl?
Yes.
Thank you.
Action item B is the Bristol Road CIA 2023 budget.
So this is for Bristol Road, and let me pull it up so I'm looking at it while you're looking at it. Right one.
Date is correct on that one, by the way.
What's that?
The date is correct, by the way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sure. Oh, I
It's not, it
see.
says
I see what
22.
you're talking about
Mine
on the
says
Beach Road
21.
one. Why does this keep closing
It
on
says
me?
22.
Sorry about that.
Well,
It's-
she's giving the projected budget to us in 22, but if you see the column to the right, the proposed is for 2023. So
See that.
she's given it to us in 2022. You could in essence say projected
It
budget
still should say
presented.
2020, it still should say 2023 at the top. Sorry about that. So proposed for 2023, as you'll see, the project expenditures are 43,290 with the operating costs of 18,000 with the loan repayment of 14,433. This is for Bristol Road CIA, and we will have $74,000 in revenue, and they will have $76,288 in expenditures, which more than likely will be less than that. But at the last minute, they added the decorations for down there, the holiday decorations for down there, so we didn't tweak it to get back underneath, but it will be under what they bring in for the year.
So a motion is in order to move forward?
We would move on the Bristol Road CIA project to move it forward, please.
Is there a second to the motion?
Or,
Any questions or discussion?
who's this?
Carol.
Carol.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
No? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on approving the Bristol Road 2023 CIA budget.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Cle?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
No.
Trustee Favdal?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next is the Flint Township DDA 2023 budget.
So the DDA, we went through some issues with Kevin. We made some changes to it. And you'll see, whoops, did I have that up here? This one actually says budget for 2023, Tom. And you'll see that when we tweaked the budget, we got it to where they should be bringing in $6,000 more than what they're spending, with project expenditures in the amount of $137,950. Their biggest ticket items are the property maintenance on the expressways. That's probably the largest outlay we have of dollars. And then the community promotion and the donations. If you notice, we bring in about $30,000 worth of donations every year. And that's thanks to efforts by Trustee Favdal for some of our community events, and then our community partnerships with HAP and Dort Financial. Questions?
I have a question. So this budget and the one Kevin has, they're the same?
Should be.
Do we have a motion in a second?
No.
No, nobody moved.
Can we
yet.
have a motion in a second, please?
Do it yet until Barb had a chance to speak.
Anybody?
Clee
A motion?
moves to accept the Flint Township DDA budget as presented.
Is there a second to the budget, to the motion?
Second.
So any further discussions?
Just,
I have-
are we done with the $700,000?
I know for sure that physically that money's been transferred from the general fund where the ARPA dollars went into over to the water funds. I asked Kevin that, and he said it was physically done today.
Well, so here's my question then, like, so that other loan repayment, what is that for?
The 6,000?
That's what she started with, her seed.
Yeah, that's for what we
Seed
started
money.
with.
That was her seed
That's
money.
seed
The seed money
That's her
you
seed
guys
money.
did at the beginning.
And that's being dipped back to us gradually. But if there's, go ahead.
So the question, just, if I look at 2022, Tracy, here under infrastructure payback over 12 years with interest, you have Austin Parkway, Lincourt, Taft Mansour, Neridia, Commerce Exchange Marketplace. No, actually, those weren't done yet. So you have three that are listed in 2022, but not in 2023, obviously because we paid it back with ARPA dollars. And the question was,
And
what
the
about
federal-
that
and the-
money?
And the federal grant monies.
But if you look and see your revenues for this, they've gone down substantially. In 2022, you had with all your funds, $361,000, right? For revenue, and now you have 274. That's a significant decrease. Were we right on that?
We had budgeted thinking it was maybe 285, and it was 188. There was an issue with which, how do I say this? Which taxing year we were using in the budgeting process. Kevin was using one, we were using one, and that caused a friction. So now, meeting with him, we have gotten everything on the same page, and that's why it has went down to the 218, which is still, it's an increase over what we should get this year, which is the 188.
The 188, but it's still, that's from the year before, 285. Is that because of the tax tribunal?
So, yes, we had a $95,000 hit that was from tax tribunal from 2021. This was our estimated for this year, which was wrong. That was because of the issue with which calculation year. But the issue with that has been corrected in this one. So we're hoping that going forward, me and him are on the same page, that we won't have that issue again.
And also, I know that Chief Salter has had discussions with you, just making sure that the dollars that come in that are captured from the public safety millage are going to public safety directly, right? They're,
Yeah, they have budgeted to put it back to them, and then after next year, I think is the end of it. Because we will not be taking
Captured.
anything out of the public safety millage after that. It'll all be coming directly to the public safety.
thank you. Any other questions?
You want more? You got chocolate.
So in that case, you will see, we'll have another dip.
When you don't have that money out?
Yeah, when we don't have that money coming in.
No further
Not
questions
acting
over
as a
this way?
pass-through.
This way?
No, good.
So we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on approving the Flint Township DDA 2023 budget.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
No.
Trustee Fabdo?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
No.
Treasurer Miller?
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, I got. I
Supervisor
know-
Miller?
I know.
You
Emma.
just agreed. Sorry about that.
So that's, yes, I said
Okay,
yes, sorry.
So we've
That's
had a-
approved?
We've had a vote. Can we the question can't be asked. Never mind. I'll take care of it. I'll ask my question to Kevin and Tracy.
Okay, so we're on to action item D. Chief Salter, the radar signs.
Yeah.
Yes, we've been granted by OHSP to purchase radar signs for an amount of $24,997.
Pull that up, Kev. Yes.
There you go. Is that better? Usually I don't need it, but.
There you
okay. We've been granted by the OHSP to purchase radar signs for $24,997. And Lieutenant Van Lente has researched three different companies, and the best one we found is through Traffic Logics, I think it was. Yes.
Yes.
To purchase 8 solar-powered radar signs for $24,997. Once we purchase these signs and get them in hand, we get the invoice, we pay for them, and then we give the receipt back to OHSP, and they reimburse us a total amount of money. We are able to use the signs, or we can use the signs, and our partners can use the signs. Grand Lake Township, Mount Morris Township, Genesee County. Right now, we currently got 2 of the radar signs, and they are a lot of help. Sometimes you see them in our community. These ones are different. They actually have red and blue lights that will flash you for speeding, and they'll say slow down on it too, which is good. I know the red and blue lights always catch my eye when I'm driving, which is good.
Does it automatically give a ticket?
I wish. It might slow people down.
Okay. So a motion would be in order to move forward?
Clee would move to accept Chief Salter's recommendation and the work of newly promoted LT Van Lente on the purchase price and of getting the grants to replace it at no charge to the township.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any further discussion?
One question. So how many are we gonna have total?
We're gonna purchase 8 here. We already have 2 other ones.
Be 10.
Yes, we also have the radar trailer, which is
Right,
getting
yeah.
ancient and
The
old.
dinosaur?
Yes, it
The
is.
dinosaur.
The dinosaur
Okay.
that.
And we have 2 that go on poles right now.
Correct. These will do the same thing, go on different poles.
So 10 plus the 2 that we have, and?
No, 8 plus the 2 that
8
we
plus
have.
the 2, sorry, I
Correct.
missed
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Thank you. So is there any, yeah, go ahead.
The folks on Tandy, a lot of them have said to me, appreciate you guys putting that one there on a regular basis and setting an officer up at the top of the hill because it's slowing people down finally. So that's a thank you
Good.
from several of the members at the bottom of the hill who appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Alrighty, if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Klee,
Yes, ma'am.
trustee Burt, trustee Fabdo,
Yes.
treasurer Anderson,
Yes.
supervisor Miller,
Yes.
clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you. Action item E is purchase of the fire department command vehicle. Chief Beckley?
Thank you. To maintain a reliable fleet, we are requesting the purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe Special Services vehicle. This vehicle add a command vehicle to our fleet, allowing the fire marshal to drive one of our Tahoes for inspection purposes to keep the wear and tear and miles off of our fire engines. This Tahoe, or these vehicles have been very dependable for us. They work well for fire department operations. They have lots of room for us to have all of our equipment in. The total cost for this vehicle is $39,873 as available through the state of Michigan bid in Berger Chevrolet. And the cost of outfitting this vehicle with emergency lighting, radios, and other equipment is $11,316. That's through Arrowhead Upfitters out of Davison. Funding for this purchase is available in the fire equipment millage. However, a budget amendment for the amount of the vehicle and outfitting would be necessary.
Within that fund.
In that fund.
That's correct, yes.
Already, so.
We would move that we accept Chief Beckley's recommendation for the purchase of the command vehicle to a total cost of $51,189, broken down to $39,873 Berger Chevrolet and $11,316 to Arrowhead Upfitters on the tech for it, and also to approve the budget amendment to that fund as Chief Beckley recommended.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Very thorough motion, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, it was very good. Any further discussion or questions for Chief Beckley?
Yes.
Who is my support?
Carol?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Barb.
We've had discussion.
Yes.
And I'm, with the budget as the way it is, it's really hard to spend money maybe we don't have. And you said that, and also this position may not turn out, right?
That's
Fire
correct.
marshal? You know, our funds dry up and he doesn't make his wage. So then we have a brand-new vehicle that's got all the equipment in it and that, and nobody to use it. But then you said that you'd have one that was older by then, and that you would sell that vehicle.
That's correct. So, at the time the fire marshal pilot program is over, we will have one of our command vehicles that will most likely be approaching the end of its term with us.
Right.
Or another utility vehicle that we could use for the light tower for getting equipment, personnel, things like that. So it would still have a use within our department, even if for some reason that position did not work out. And that money would come out of the fire equipment millage, not out of the general fund, but out of our equipment millage. That's separate from that.
You have a pickup truck, that's been used for that. I mean, not for the fire marshal position, but you use that.
That's correct.
And
that
how old is
vehicle
that
that vehicle's a 2004, so it's about 18 years old at this point. So again, it could always be used to replace that vehicle, or for other uses down the road if we needed to.
And the funds will be coming out of the safety millage fund.
The equipment millage, that's correct. Yep.
Equipment millage, so.
Except for 51,000.
No, the entire package
All of that
comes
will.
out of.
Oh, I thought,
No.
that's not what this says.
Yes.
Says it.
However, a budget amendment in the amount of 51,000, it would need to be
Coming from.
expensed from it because we had not expensed it at the
It
beginning.
doesn't say, so I'm reading too much into this.
Yes.
Yes. The
Why
budget,
didn't you tell me that?
I'm sorry.
the budget amendment.
It will not be a general fund expense.
Talked for I don't know how long, and I'm going,
So that will come
Why didn't
directly.
you say, hello, Barb?
It's not currently budgeted in this year's fire
Expense.
equipment millage
But the
budget.
money sits there, but we did not
Right.
say we're gonna buy a new vehicle.
The money is
Way
there
back.
in the, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're good. We're,
Any other questions, Barb?
Barb, I have a
any
mint
further
down here if you'd
questions?
like one.
I know we talked about it so much, not once did you say that. It was like, oh, hello.
I'm sorry.
We're all gonna need chocolate after
I'm
this.
good.
Any other questions for Chief Beckley?
Just a vote.
Madam Clerk, please.
Let's go. That's
Wow.
funny. Trustee Burt? Yes.
My goodness.
Trustee Fabdo? Yes. Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. And Trustee Clee? Trustee Clee?
Oh, he's thinking.
He's thinking about it.
We gotta move on.
We already know he's gonna say, you already.
Absolutely.
I'll shut up now.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it. I'm
God.
sorry, Trustee Burt.
Well, I'm glad there was clarification. Action item
No
F,
kidding.
Madam Treasurer?
Yes. This particular resolution addresses House Bill 4209, which became effective in 2019. And basically, the treasurer has to designate which individuals will be collecting tax payments. And so we needed to update this. This was already adopted last year or in 2019, but we had some changes in staff, and so this is to update those names.
Clee would move to accept Board of Trustee Lisa Anderson's treasurer to the board for approval of changing the payment designee appointments to the three listed, Nalinda, Kevin, and Tammy.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any further discussion?
I do want to add, what Kevin and I kind of worked through this piece or talked through this piece, and I know we have three individuals that are listed, but we feel that with the bill that it's in the spirit of, so it's not to say, like when Tara comes up, her name is not here because she's,
Right.
but that she would also, she would be able to take a payment. You just have to identify those individuals that definitely would be in during the times that the law requires for the treasurer and/or their designees to be in the office to take tax payments.
So your name's not on there, but it's automatically assumed because you're the treasurer that you
Correct.
get to do that, right?
So you're
Correct.
above the line. You're, that's, I was gonna ask that, you're above the line and doesn't, and
Required by law
to be,
take tax payments.
No one else
but then
does, she has to.
right, but,
Designees.
with what you said, and it was, I thought of it as well, and I'm sorry, I'm back talking again, and you just said that. This would be a situation where Tara would have to be, how do we give her access when she hasn't had access and we're not sure? That's later, never mind, it's down the road. I wrote a note on it anyway, so. Let's go. Sorry, it's late.
I don't remember this coming up last year.
It was in 2000, I think it was in 2019. 'Cause that's when it passed, was in 2019.
Okay.
But we had this,
I included the House bill itself.
Oh, I read that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we
I just-
adopted it because we had Tanisha's name.
Right, we had to change those
Peggy
names.
Parker,
Peggy
who's
Park,
retired.
yes.
Those names
Correct.
were on there.
Correct.
For the last one.
so we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor of approving the designee, the names of the designees signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that's unanimous. Action item G. Who's doing that? So, you have before you the 2022 Winter Tax Roll Special Assessment Certification.
What's that noise?
She's vacuuming.
Oh.
It
It's a
is.
vacuum. I'm like, what is that noise?
You have all the, what?
It's the cleanup person, isn't it?
You have all the departments or items, the streetlights, the garbage, delinquent sewer and water, property maintenance, the different assessment districts, and for evacuation, fire department, anyhow, the total amount of.
Excavation, by the way, that's not evacuation, that's
Sorry,
dig-
yeah,
that's
I'm
digging.
tired and my eyes aren't
That's
working.
digging.
So it's in the total amount of $2,186,600.49. A motion is in order to approve the 2022 Winter Tax Roll Special Assessment Certification.
Anderson moves that we approve the 2022 winter tax roll special assessment certification as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
Or,
Any further questions or discussion?
I have one, just I need for clarification for myself, I'm sorry. So the items that say, and I hadn't had a chance to come see you, so I'm just gonna bring it, and just say I wanna talk about the delinquent stuff, and we can talk about that in your office. So I
Okay.
just have a question for that.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Thank you. That's all I want to do.
Are you talking to me or
The
Madam
lady
Treasurer?
next to you. She
The
had-
delinquent sewer and water,
Yes.
okay, I'm not over sewer and water.
Well, who
That'd
is?
be me,
That'd be
Karen.
you. Well, okay, yeah, then I'm just,
Come to
and
my
then up to, never mind.
And Kevin is.
And kept, right, so I want to talk about all of that delinquent stuff, how we go about getting that in the house.
If you want.
Because if we brought that in the house,
No, we do.
we have a policy in place.
We
and we're
send
do-
out a shut-off notice.
I realize that, I would like to just talk.
Sure, we'll talk. Sounds good.
I want to chase this stuff, I want to chase this money.
Well, we're gonna be in real trouble if the state legislature passes a bill that says you can't shut off any, water accounts for
Agreed.
non-payment. So
And
why would
also
anybody pay their
delinquent-
bill?
Right, and also any other delinquent bills that the townships or any government agency has from a resident, that all of a sudden, it's like, hey, too bad, we don't have to pay you. Well, we need to chase that stuff
Yep.
ASAP.
Okay, so we have the motion and a second for,
Yeah, Barb, second, right?
the 2022 winter tax roll special assessment
Lisa, Barb,
certification.
yep.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Burt?
yes.
Trustee Favdor?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Announcements, our next meeting is December 5th, 2022 at 6 PM, and we will have a budget workshop, most likely at 3 PM. And that'll be a special meeting posting, so look for that to find out that information. And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned.